Beautiful Biltmore Part 1, The Backstory by Shiny Visions. Hello, this is Shine of Shiny Visions. I'm so glad you can come along with me on this next adventure, Beautiful Biltmore. This historic gem is fascinating with all its rich history and marvelous design, and I can't wait to share it with you. So here we go. The Biltmore Estate, George Vanderbilt's country summer home in Asheville, North Carolina, is the largest house in the United States. Construction began in 1889 and took 6 years to complete. This magnificent mansion today attracts over 1 million tourists each year. In this series, Beautiful Biltmore, we will explore this architectural masterpiece along with its history and grounds. The Vanderbilts. This family name is associated with incredible wealth, along with names of other prominent families of the Gilded Age, like the Carnegies, Astors, and Rockefellers. The Vanderbilt wealth began with George's grandfather Cornelius, who, through his successful business dealings in shipping and railroad, became the richest person in the country. After Cornelius's death, he passed almost all his wealth to his son William Henry. He, in turn, doubled the fortune in a few short years and eventually amassed the greatest wealth in the world. When William Henry died, he passed his wealth down to his 3 sons, Cornelius, William, and George. Though the Vanderbilt heirs engaged in family business as well as philanthropic and other endeavors, they also spent money stupendously on lavish mansions that were seldom used, extravagant parties, and expensive possessions. Of the 3 sons, George was the least interested in the family business. Instead, he preferred books and the arts. When he first visited Asheville, North Carolina in 1888 at the height of the Gilded Age, George fell in love with the climate and beauty of the land with its idyllic views of the Blue Ridge Mountains and decided to build a country estate there. He slowly purchased land until he finally acquired 125,000 acres to surround his dream house. Much of the land was in poor condition, and landowners were glad to sell. During this time, other Vanderbilts had already built or were in the process of building lavish mansions too. George hired the most sought-after architect at the time, Richard Morris Hunt, to design and build his dream of a massive French Renaissance chateau. Hunt designed not only major public structures throughout the country, but also other lavish Vanderbilt mansions such as the ornate Breakers in Newport, Rhode Island, where the movie The Great Gatsby was filmed. George also enlisted famed landscape architect Frederick Law Olmsted to create formal gardens and transform the farmland into a beautiful grassy landscape. Olmsted was the most sought-after landscape architect of his time. His company designed or planned renowned public spaces like New York's Riverside Park, Brooklyn's Prospect Park, Chicago's South Park, Montreal's Mount Royal Park, and the National Zoological Park in Washington. His most renowned design is likely in New York City, where Olmsted created an open, accessible park in an urban setting called Central Park, which became a model for the nation. Olmsted is credited with changing the way Americans think about public spaces with his park designs in the middle of urban areas. His advocacy for conserving natural spaces like Yosemite provided the guiding foundations of what would become the national park system. Led by this dream team, George Vanderbilt's huge construction project necessitated the creation of a village that included a woodworking factory and brick kiln that produced on-site 32,000 bricks a day. A 3-mile railroad spur was created to bring materials to the construction site, like Indiana limestone. Building the main house required about 1,000 workers in addition to talented designers, builders, artisans, and 60 stonemasons. 6 years later, Biltmore Estate opened its doors to what George called his little mountain escape to family and friends from around the country on Christmas Eve in 1895. This magnificent 250-room residence is 175 square feet, or around 4 acres under roof. It boasts 43 bathrooms, 65 fireplaces, 34 bedrooms, a bowling alley, and an indoor pool. Fine arts and antiques are displayed throughout the home, along with opulent furnishings, a 10,000-volume library, and so much more. Just you wait. During the house construction, George went on extensive trips overseas to purchase decor and furnishings, returning to North Carolina with thousands of items suitable to adorn his manor, including tapestries, hundreds of carpets, prints, linens, and decorative objects, all dating between the 15th and late 19th centuries. To further impress the first-time Biltmore visitors, Olmsted designed a 3-mile curving lane to lead up to the great house, lined with trees and foliage that hid the massive home from view. Guests slowly wound their way past the lovely greenery as anticipation grew to catch the first glimpse of the Biltmore house. Olmsted directed stands of bamboo be planted alongside the lane to make visitors feel closer to the sun. Finally, the 3-mile journey ends as the dense foliage opens to a magnificent view of George Vanderbilt's French Renaissance chateau. But George did not intend for his estate to just be a showpiece. The Biltmore Estate was intended to be self-sustaining as well as sustainable. George wanted the Biltmore to be modeled after working estates of Europe. He asked Richard Morris Hunt and Frederick Law Olmsted to design a village with architecturally compatible buildings and lovely landscaping. He wanted to generate income through rental cottages, establish a place for philanthropic programs, and create an easy point of access between the estate and the train station. The result was Biltmore Village. The village included comfortable rental cottages complete with plumbing and central heating, a post office, shops, doctor's office, school, and a church. Continuing with the estate's self-supporting goal, Vanderbilt set up the first managed forest in the United States, along with scientific forestry programs, and opened the country's first forestry school. Also on the grounds were poultry, cattle, and hog farms, as well as a very profitable dairy farm. The Vanderbilts were generous with their money and their resources. They gave their workers high salaries, with their housekeeping staff paid New York wages, far higher than what they would have normally earned in the Asheville area. Many of the staff lived in the house. George's wife, Edith, enthusiastically supported agricultural reform and promoted the establishment of a state agricultural fair as a way to promote agriculture in the area. The estate's workers' children were provided free schooling. George and Edith also provided financial assistance to teach young people in Biltmore Village trades such as how to make hand-carved furniture, woven baskets, homespun wool fabric, as well as many other trades. Life at the Biltmore Estate changed unexpectedly in 1914 when George died suddenly from complications from an emergency appendectomy. That same year, Edith sold some 87,000 acres to the U.S. Forest Service. The mansion was first opened to the public in 1930 as a way to promote tourism in the area and also to help with costs of upkeep of the property. By the early 2000s, the estate size had been reduced to about 8,000 acres. Today, the Biltmore Estate is still under the control of descendants of the George Vanderbilt family. It is a popular tourist attraction with more than 1 million visitors annually to the property. To accommodate Biltmore's growing popularity, the estate now includes the Village Hotel on Biltmore Estate as well as a luxury hotel named the Inn on Biltmore Estate. There is also Antler Hill Village with restaurants and various shops. In addition, in 1971, a vineyard was established on the land with the former dairy barn remodeled as a winery. The Biltmore is one of the largest employers in the Asheville area. South of the house are the formal gardens and terrace, and on the north are the stables and the carriage house, which have been converted to shops and restaurants. There's even a working farm and miles of walking and bike paths to enjoy and explore. The Biltmore Estate was designated a National Historic Landmark in 1963 and in 1966 added to the U.S. National Registry of Historic Places. There's just so much to learn about and explore here. Thanks for watching the first video of my series, Beautiful Biltmore. Please subscribe to this channel or my website, shinyvisions.com, to be notified of my next installment where we are going to explore the beautiful grounds of the Biltmore Estate. This is Shiny Visions.